Berkshire for Europe. I'm Hanya, and I'm the Events Officer for Berkshire for Europe. And we've got Gavin somewhere, who Gavin is our Vice Chair and is going to be taking questions at the end. So, we are very grateful to Professor A.C. Grayling and also to Chung for coming and sharing their expert insights into our future in Europe. And Professor Grayling has many contributions and achievements to speak of. Most recently, he has been an inspiring advocate of our future membership of the European Union. Professor Grayling will be taking questions at the end of his talk. So thank you very much for being here and welcome.
Thank you very, very much indeed. I'd like to begin, if I may, by just offering some reminders about why we are angry about the Brexit situation. This is useful from the point of view of doing two very, very important things. Among the other things that we will do, either to ensure that we stay in the EU, that we derail the Brexit process and stay in the EU, or if the felons who are trying to steal the UK out of the EU succeed, that we get back into the EU as quickly as possible. But of course the first task really is to try to stop Brexit from happening, and give some reason for thinking that there is hope that Brexit might be well. But we can't just hope, we must act. We've got to take the situation in hand and make sure that we do everything that we can to keep the argument out there in the public domain as to why we should stay in the EU and as to why the Brexit process itself is unacceptable. So the thing I want to remind you about is that Brexit is politically illegitimate and arguably it is constitutionally improper. It's politically illegitimate for the very well-known reason that the referendum held on the 23rd of June last year was intended to be a consultative referendum, an advisory referendum only. This was a point made to our parliamentarians themselves in a briefing paper issued by the House of Commons Library on the 3rd of June 2015, just before the referendum bill was debated in the House of Commons. And section 6 of that bill, not the bill, of the briefing paper, says this is specifically an advisory referendum. It doesn't bind the government or parliament to act on the outcome. And then goes on in the next section, section 6, to say if there were any question otherwise, if there were going to be any question whatever of the referendum outcome being taken as in any way mandating or binding, a simple majority is not sufficient. The implication being that there would have to be a supermajority. In most mature political orders, if there's going to be massive constitutional change, like leaving the EU, there would have to be at least a 60, probably a 66% vote in favour of doing so. But no such supermajority was introduced, no provision for it was introduced into the 2015 bill because the referendum was to be advisory only. And yet, on the 24th of June, when the result had come in, when 51.9% of the 72% turnout, that is to say 37% of the total electorate, had voted to leave the government that followed the resignation of David Cameron, running for the hills as fast as he possibly could, having made this most disastrous mistake, decided to treat it as mandated. So that is the first point. This is politically illegitimate. There is no mandate. And it's really important to stress this for the following reason. Public service unions cannot go on strike unless a minimum of 40% of the total membership of the union votes to strike. We now have fixed term parliaments, 5-year parliaments, and there cannot be a general election outside the fixed term of the parliament unless 66% of members of the House of Commons vote for a dissolution. So here you have some constitutional precedents for what should count as a sufficient level of vote to initiate an important proceeding. The House of Commons takes it that in order to have a general election, which could be very consequential, there could be a new government, there could be different people coming in with different ideas, ideas, so it's quite consequential. So in order to precipitate one, there really has to be a substantial supermajority, 66% of the total number of MPs in the House of Commons deciding that this should be so. And yet, it is regarded as sufficient for us to leave the European Union with 37% of the electorate, and by the way, a restricted electorate, has voted to do so. This is why I say I think there is a constitutional impropriety at stake here, but it is certainly politically illegitimate. It is certainly politically illegitimate. That fact has to be kept before our eyes. There is an additional feature to the illegitimacy of this, and that is that the franchise or the referendum is an ordinary standard general election candidate, and it should not have been such. There are three groups of people with very, very material interest in the outcome of the referendum who were excluded, but deliberately excluded. And we know that that's the case because there had been discussion before the 2015 bill was debated as to whether or not these three groups of people should be included. 16 and 17-year-olds, EU citizens living, working and paying taxes in the United Kingdom, and all expats. Now, as you know, 16 and 17-year-olds were excluded, EU citizens were excluded, and expats should be living abroad for 15 years or more were excluded. And yet all three groups are the most interested in the outcome of the referendum and should have been included. And had they been so, we would all be watching something much more interesting on telly now than we were. So the franchise was in effect gerrymandered, a restricted, artificially restricted electorate, and that artificially restricted electorate produced a 37% vote in favour of the. There is no justification, no mandate for what's happening at the moment. Now you will notice that the people who are in charge of the process for Brexit, I'll name them: David Davis, Liam Fox, Boris Johnson, scarcely pronounce that name, Theresa May. All of them rather failed third-rate ministers who never lasted long in government when there was a serious government in office. And they're in charge of this process, a process of such extraordinary complexity that it can only be described in the following terms. If you think about the fact that for the last 40 years, the UK and all its partners in Europe, the whole group of 20 years, have been stitching together, knitting together a very elaborate fabric, a great tapestry for economic and legal relationships, building something together of enormous intricacy. By far the best analogy for this is that we have joined our brains, like Siamese twins, joined at the brain. Now I ask you to imagine what is involved in separating Siamese twins if they are joined at the brain. How delicate, how long drawn, and how damaging the process is of separating the brains from one another. That is exactly what it's going to be like with the Brexit process. Before the 23rd of June last year, nobody even on the Leave side had any conception of what the complexities would be or what the damage would be as a result of this process. This is only emerging little by little. Last night I was in Stratford talking to a large audience of Remainers, very keen to keep the UK in the EU. And one of the people in the audience was a man who had spent his whole professional life, his whole career, in the EU Commission, actually involved in trade negotiations with countries coming into the EU, countries who are going to join the EU. In fact, he'd been in charge of some of the very long-drawn and elaborate negotiations with recent entrants. He said it took usually a minimum of 6 years to negotiate an entry to the EU. And he thought, because in the course of my talk I'd said, you know, some people are saying it could take as many as 5 or 10 years to leave. He said we would be lucky to do it in 10. Now I take heart from that fact, because remember, we have to have a general election in the year 2020. And if these negotiations and complexities are dragging on and on, that general election will come before we're anywhere near completing the process. And things are changing, sentiment is changing, people are realising what the implications of this are. And by that time, You have to remember what Harold Wilson said, a week is a very long time in politics. By that time, things may have changed substantially. That is one reason I have for thinking that Brexit may not happen. But the fact that it may not happen is not something that, as I said earlier, we leave up to chance. We have to keep campaigning. We've got to keep campaigning for a number of reasons. One is this: you must have come across people who voted Remain, and who now say, oh well, it's all over, it's a done deal. Those people have got to be repaying for the campaign to keep us in the EU. We've got to get them by the throat and say, no, it's not all over, it's not a done deal, you mustn't turn your back on it now, you've got to stand up with the rest of us and fight to keep us in the EU. We also have a big task of talking to those leavers who haven't already changed their minds about leaving the EU, to explain to them, first, what I said a little while ago about the political illegitimacy of this, but secondly, to ask them the following question: who gains from Brexit? Now, you would have read any number of newspaper reports about the dreadful effect that Brexit will have on our economy. I may just tell you, a couple of months ago, I had to give a meeting in Italy. I was told by a German businessman whose business is based in the UK, that he is, of course, leaving, taking his business to Germany. He said, you know, in the immediate aftermath of the referendum, almost all businesses whose work is mainly in or with Europe did the sensible thing that they're bound to do, which is to make some contingency plans for what would happen to their business if Brexit occurred. And of course the contingency is to move their operations to Europe. And so they went and had a look at where they might go. And what did they find? They found that the labour force, the rents, the infrastructure, the accessibility to airports or ports, were every bit as good, if not better in some cases, than where they were in the UK. And that many of them decided to go anyway, whether or not Brexit occurred. That is to say that the damage began on the day after the referendum vote happened. And he then said something to me which I found even more chilling, which is he has a business relationship with the Chinese, major Chinese company, and the Chinese businessman said to him, the United Kingdom is the door to Europe. If the United Kingdom leaves Europe, it's a door to nowhere. Now that fact, that observation tells you something, triggers a realization about who can benefit from Brexit. Let us imagine the following. You will know, won't you, that all around the world over the last few decades, other countries have been looking at the EU with admiration and with envy. Even though the EU has many problems, many flaws, many difficulties, it's a tremendous project, a hugely imaginative one, taking years, if not decades, to build, and naturally there are problems. When you face problems with a great imaginative enterprise like the EU, what do? You shoulder up, you get involved, you try to help out, and you make the problems go away. You don't run away from them, as we're doing at the moment. So naturally enough, there will be problems and difficulties. But even so, other countries and other parts of the world have looked at the EU with admiration and with envy. And what have they done? In partnership with their neighbouring countries, they're starting to build sort of mini EUs or versions of the EU in their own part of the world. All over the world, there are now trading blocs with internal lowering of tariffs and customs unions. And there are 3 in South America. You all know about Asia and South Asia. There are several in Africa, and the ones in Africa are now talking about trying to combine all the ones in Africa together. One of the trading blocs in South America is even thinking of a common currency. Now, all these trading blocs naturally put up tariff barriers to in trading relationships with countries outside their group, so that within the group there could be preferences. So I now ask you, really the biggest, the best, the richest, and the most mature of these trading blocs in the world, and where do we find ourselves? On our own, outside all those trading blocs, outside all those walls. We've heard with great enthusiasm Liam Fox tell us that somebody in New Zealand said they might trade with us. The reality is going to be that if we were to leave, we would find ourselves excluded from a large number of currently existing and developing trading blocs in the world, and not going to get preferential treatment from very many of them, who in any case will look askance at us as a possible trading partner, given the fact that we don't seem to be a very good one. A little bit like asking somebody to marry you after you've made several of your spouses annoyed because of your infidelity. So that's a little bit like how marriageable you would be in the market. So this brings me to my point about who benefits. Who would benefit from the situation where we are outside all these blocks? Well, the answer is those people who think that in response to that new situation, what we would do is we would make ourselves a very low-tax, deregulated economy. Very low tax to invite incoming investment. So people can invest here, people do in offshore places, don't have to pay very much in tax. And also if we deregulate, if we scrap environmental regulations, you can build a dirty factory here, you scrap employment laws, then you can hire and fire very easily, so it's nice and cheap and flexible. You become very attractive then, if the taxes are low and if the regulations are non-existent, to investors from outside. But if you have a low-tax, deregulated economy, the only people who benefit from that will be the people who don't like paying tax and who want to be able to hire and fire quickly. In other words, Jacob Rees-Mogg or somebody like that. Now, Mr. Mogg would, if you were to ask him about the impact of this, would say, well, if you have a low-tax regime, you're not going to have enough, surplus really to have a really flourishing national health service. You're not going to have the kind of money available for a really first-rate state education system. You're not going to have the kind of money for a really good welfare provision, a net in society. And if you scrap all those environmental regulations, you're going to have dirtier air and dirtier beaches. But the people who benefit, the people who want low-tax, deregulated economy, are not people who use the NHS. They've got private medical insurance. They're not people who send their children to state schools. They send them to private schools. They're not people who care about deregulation of the labour market because they want to hire and fire. And they're certainly not bothered about dirty air in the cities because they've got houses in the country, or dirty beaches because they have their holidays in the Maldives. So none of them are going to suffer one little bit if we have that kind of economy here. And yet, the great majority of people, and alas, so many of the people who voted Leave, are going to be absolutely in the front line of the impact of that kind of thing. So again, when you speak to a leader, you say to them, who benefits? Are you going to benefit? What kind of situation are we going to be in after, or if we do leave the EU, and we have that kind of economy, because that's the only kind of economy that we can survive on? What will the impact be on your life? And would you like to live in a country which doesn't, as any mature civilized country should, care about things like health and education and the kind of levelling of the playing field which gives people opportunities to advance themselves in society? So these sorts of arguments, it's illegitimate. There is a huge constitutional question mark over it. There is a very, very serious question about who benefits. Those are the sorts of considerations that one should keep on advancing. Firstly, keep before our own faces so that we remember why it is that we don't want this to happen. And finally, of course, we have to remember that the very idea of Europe, which has brought to an extraordinary part of the world, which over the last 4 or 5 centuries has made a complete difference in the history of humanity, when you consider the science, the Enlightenment, the conceptions like human rights and the rule of law, but which has also, of course, been a place of great inner strife with all the terrible wars fought between European neighbours in that same period of time. And yet, since 1945, and because of the establishment of the Iron and Coal Union, and then the EC, and then the EU, has been a great place of peace. Peace and unity and progress and the idea of prosperity. And there must be people in this room who have had the experience of travelling either in the south of Ireland or in Greece in years gone by, 30, 40 years gone by, and travelling in them more recently still, and seeing the tremendous benefits of EU membership of countries. Really changed, really come up enormously. How much we benefited in the UK. Cast your mind back before the referendum in 1975. How were things then? The weakest and the most poorly performing economy anywhere near Europe at the time. now until the 23rd of June 2016, the best performing economy in the European Union. Well, the European Union has done us a power of good. So there, the idea, the great imaginative, idealistic, but emergingly concrete idea of a Europe of states in friendship and unity with one another, independently of whether or not you're a federalist or you think the kind of association which we've currently got with European partners is enough or good enough. It doesn't matter, but the idea of European unity to some large degree, along with the single market, which is a slightly different thing from the EU itself, along with the fact that we are able to travel as easily as we do, work in other parts of the EU, retire there if we'd like to. Those things are of enormous value. They constitute rights that we have. And one of the things that Brexit threatens to do is to take away those rights. This is another point about the political illegitimacy of the whole Brexit movement, which is that very important rights that we have and that we would like to keep, we're being deprived of. On what basis? In the EU campaigns, I have to say that the Remain campaign was a pretty feeble affair. Instead of talking up the great benefits of the EU, instead of addressing the lies and the deceits and the distortions poured out by the Daily Mail, the Daily Express and the Sun for years and years and years, poisoning the waters and thinking about the EU, instead of tackling those issues, instead of talking about the fact that we need immigration in this country, that immigrants in the UK are net contributors to our country, socially and economically. The fact that 26% of the staff of the NHS, including the top consultants and surgeons, as well as nurses and auxiliary staff, are from outside the UK. Instead of talking about these things, the Remain campaign talked, quite correctly by the way, because the facts are bearing them out, but talked about the economic thing. Their argument was, make people afraid of the consequences of leaving the EU. That was the burden of their aim. I know this, I met the few people who were running the campaign at the time, and they said, yep, the feel works, just it's the economy, you could, just stick on that and it'll be fine. Well, we won't. So the deficit in the campaign really was failing to point out to people what all the advantages are. You would have noticed in your travels in Europe, wherever you go, elsewhere in the EU, that the national flag of the country